secret you keep, the one even you don't understand. This volume holds its true name. Welcome to LibCurio, Library of Curiosity. Shush, please keep silent. And now the next chapter begins.
You wake up in a room you don't remember falling asleep in. The walls are familiar but slightly off, as if rearranged by someone who's studied your life like a crime scene. The light comes in at the wrong angle. Your shoes are by the door, but they're not the shoes you own. On the table, a note written in your handwriting. It says only you chose this. But you don't remember choosing anything. You look around, and for a moment, you wonder, what if your life has been playing itself without you? There's a thought that most people never speak aloud. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's too quiet. It hums beneath your actions, beneath the way you say yes to things you never wanted, beneath the way your feet carry you into routines that feel like déjà vu. The thought is this: what if I was never in control? Not just sometimes. Not just in dreams or moments of fear, but always. From the way you reached for coffee instead of tea, to the way you fell in love with someone who reminded you of a memory you never unpacked. We like to believe in the captain at the helm, the self who charts the course. But what if that captain is an actor, mouthing lines written by a nervous system, a culture, a past you didn't choose? There are moments, brief, shimmering ones, when you feel the script peel back. You say something and wonder who said it. You walk into a room and feel like a puppet returning to its stage. You make a decision and notice you're only narrating the aftermath. The question isn't whether free will exists. The question is, why do you need it to? What is so unbearable about the idea that you are a river, not a dam? A thread being woven, not the weaver? What if your need for control is the last illusion holding your life together? There's a boy born beneath a blinking street lamp during a thunderstorm that knocked the clocks out of sync. He'll never remember this, of course. All he'll know is that for most of his life, he'll feel slightly off-tempo, like the world takes a breath a second before he does. As a child, he laughs before jokes land, finishes sentences before others start them. People call him intuitive. They don't see how hard he tries to delay himself to wait for life to catch up. He grows up believing in choice, that each step he takes is one he's authored, that when he pulls away from his mother's hand in the supermarket, when he punches a boy for calling him strange, when he chooses books over people, it's all his doing. But deep down, something feels scripted. He notices it one rainy evening, standing at a crosswalk. He doesn't decide to cross. His legs move, and then the thought arrives: I'm crossing the street. The decision trails behind the action like a shadow that forgot where the light is. Years later, in a lecture hall filled with strangers, he hears about Libet, about the brain's readiness potential, the flicker of activity that occurs before the conscious mind decides, about how the self may be an afterthought, a witness pretending to be a creator, and something inside him softens. He remembers the boy who laughed too early, the boy who moved before knowing why. Maybe he wasn't broken, maybe he was just closer to the truth. In time, he lets go of the need to be in charge. He walks, speaks, eats, and dreams, but with a kind of reverence now. Like someone reading a book they didn't write but were somehow born to carry. He meets a woman at a train station. He doesn't plan to speak. He does anyway. She smiles as if she's been waiting. Their entire conversation feels pre-written, but not in a suffocating way, more like a poem finally reaching its rhyme. They never talk about fate or neuroscience, but sometimes when they hold hands, he whispers, I was never really choosing you. And she smiles again, as if she already knew. So here we are, tethered between science and silence, between the brain's twitching light and the soul's quiet ache. If we are not the authors of our thoughts, if the I comes after the act, what are we? For centuries, we crowned the self as sovereign. We built empires around accountability. But what if free will is not the throne we thought it was, but a stage, with no actor behind the curtain? Libet's experiments whispered first, but others followed. Studies showed that the body often moves before the mind catches up. That decisions are like waves breaking on a beach, visible only at the end, not at their origin deep beneath. Yet we still feel like we choose. This feeling, it's sticky, persuasive. It keeps us tethered to guilt, to pride, to shame. As if the story we tell, the narrative of "I did this," is sacred. But maybe that's all it is. A story. A beautiful, desperate story stitched over something more terrifying. Because if we are not steering, what are we? The Stoics, strangely, offer comfort. They didn't speak of neurons, but they did speak of control. Or rather, its limits. You cannot control the wind, they said. Only how you set your sail. You cannot command the storm, but you can bow to its rhythm. And in bowing, perhaps, find peace. Buddhist thought goes deeper, still whispers of anatta, but no self. The idea that there is no fixed I behind the eyes, only process, only observation. You're not the flame, but the warmth that lingers, not the voice, but the space that holds it. To Western ears, this sounds like surrender. To lose the self feels like death, but maybe it's the opposite. Maybe the death is in clinging to the illusion. Imagine it being free not because you choose, but because you see. Free not to control the world, but to witness it unfold through you. Like wind through reeds. Like moonlight on still water. Not power, presence. The wind doesn't ask where to go. It simply moves over rooftops, through leaves, across oceans. No plan. No hesitation, just motion, ancient and effortless. Maybe that's you too. Maybe you were never meant to grip the wheel, only to feel it turn in your hands. Not to command the tide, but to taste the salt on your lips as it pulls you home. There's a strange beauty in this, not weakness, not defeat, but intimacy with the real. The hum beneath the illusion. The quiet pulse beneath your stories. When the script fades, when the mask melts in your hands, you do not vanish. You return, not as a name, not as a role, but as the watching, the presence behind the reflex, the breath behind the noise, the awareness that never needed control to be whole. You are not the choices. You are the space they pass through. And what a gift that is, to let go of the weight of authorship, to sit beside your thoughts like old friends, to feel pain without building a home inside it, to love without needing to understand why. This isn't detachment. It's devotion to the raw, unfiltered now. So tonight, when the world goes quiet and your mind begins its wandering, don't try to steer. Just listen. Not to the voice that speaks, but to the silence that surrounds it. Because maybe, just maybe, freedom was never in choosing. It was in noticing that the choice was never yours to begin with. Who were you before the thought of I arrived? If your next action has already begun, is it still yours? When you feel anger rise, do you own it, or does it own you? Are you the story or the silence underneath? If the universe breathes through you, what does it mean to breathe back? When you look in the mirror, who blinks first? If the actor disappears, does the stage vanish too? What if you've never made a single choice, and that's the most liberating truth of all? The door opens, but you don't remember reaching for the handle. The wind shifts, and your body turns toward it like a leaf on a string. You blink, and in the reflection, your face lags behind. Somewhere, a choice is made. You feel it echo before it arrives, like thunder waiting for its name. And yet, there's no tremor in your step, no crack in your voice. You speak, laugh, move, love, as if you meant to. But tell me this, what if the most convincing performance you ever gave was to yourself? They told you that you are the author, that every page in your life story is written by your own hand, that your failures are yours, your desires deliberate, your path chosen. But haven't there been moments, quiet, uncheckable moments, when you felt yourself moving like a character already cast? You order the coffee, say the line, flinch at the sudden sound. And after, only after, comes the thought, I meant to do that, but did you? Neuroscientists once wired the mind and found something eerie, that the brain decides before you do. A silent readiness, a whisper in the dark, milliseconds before your awareness kicks in, the deed is already done. So what are you then? A ghost riding lightning? A narrator watching the plot unfold, scrambling to claim it as your own? Or perhaps, and this is the cruelest kindness of all, you were never the author. You were only the reader, turning pages that had already been written in ink you cannot remember spilling. There's a boy in a field of clocks. Each one ticks in a different rhythm, some fast, some slow, some stuck all together. He walks between them, barefoot, listening for one that sounds like truth. He believes he's choosing which path to take. Left at the blue barn, right at the fallen oak. But the wind seems to know where he's going before he does. And always, just before his foot lifts, the birds change direction, as if the world made the choice and he simply agreed. At night, he dreams of mirrors that don't reflect, only predict. He raises his hand, and the image beats him to it. One day, he asks the old man in the tower, when did I start becoming me? The man smiles without smiling. You did it, he says. You noticed. In another life, he would have screamed, but here, he just nods. Like a puppet growing fond of the strings. Later, he finds a journal he doesn't remember writing. It describes tomorrow in perfect detail. He closes it quietly, not with fear but recognition. The page doesn't trap him. It reveals him. Scientists once found something strange. Your brain decides before you do. A flicker of electrical readiness, half a second before your conscious mind catches up. It's called the Libet experiment, but it isn't the result that haunts you. It's the implication that you are not the author of your actions, just the reader of a story already written. And still the mind rebels, because you feel like the one who chooses. You remember deciding, you remember wanting. But memory is not truth, it's stitching. A narrative your mind sews around inevitability to make the fabric feel like yours. Maybe the Stoics were right, not in the way you think rigid, cold, but in their surrender, in the strange, beautiful peace of knowing what happens is what must happen. There's a whisper in Eastern thought too. The Tao moves through all things, effortless, inevitable. Not chosen, not resisted. What if free will is a costume stitched over the skin of causality, a myth we wear so we can keep playing? And yet, in that myth, in that space where the illusion shimmers, you glimpse something deeper, the witness. The presence that doesn't choose, doesn't control, but watches. And in that watching, a different kind of freedom takes shape. You return to the beginning. The moment you thought was a choice, now a ripple in a river you never noticed. You sit in your room, hand on the light switch, and wonder if you're about to flick it off because you want to, or because the story demands a shadow. The thought rises, so does your hand. You watch them both, and in the watching, something holy blooms. It's not control, not power, but a kind of truth stripped bare of performance. You are not the god of your mind. You are its moonlight, reflecting decisions you never made in language you were taught to believe is yours, and still. You feel it, a stillness beneath the narrative, a witness under the mask, a space wide enough to hold it all, the illusion, the ache, the endless questions. So then, if you are not the voice in your head who is listening, if your body decides before your mind arrives, what part of you is truly alive? If memory is a story and desire is inheritance, and the path you walk was already turning before you stood, what's left to call your own? Would you grieve the loss of authorship or feel the relief of being unwritten? Is there meaning without choice? Or is meaning what arises when you finally stop choosing? What if freedom was never about control, but about presence? What if the only real decision is whether to notice the moment before the moment moves you? Until next time, stay curious, stay unsettled. Remember that freedom isn't a distant place you reach or a chain you break, but the quiet witness within the shadows you once called walls. In the stillness, the true self begins to breathe. LibCurio never closes, and the next chapter awaits, patiently waiting to unfold in the silence.